was like,
The Holy Spirit took over.
and no one cares about sprints.
I care about the sprint. McLaren
It's the world championship
hotline. I have some thoughts about that.
He's Max freaking Verstappen. He should always be on your radar.
We get to the juicy bits.
Love the juicy bits.
I'm not a scientist.
Overtake King.
Yeah.
That restart, by the way, from Oscar Piastri.
Cheeky.
Diabolical. There's been lots of drivers. It's hard to keep them all straight. And we're live. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is where we're yelling, welcome back to another F1 race review. Finally.
Holy God.
It's been six weeks? 5 weeks? It's been more than a month.
Yes.
Today, we're talking about the round 4 of the 2026 F1 season, the Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix at the Miami International Autodrome.
Good job. Yay! Woohoo!
We got through it.
Oh my God. Finally.
I feel like we have watched and talked about very little Formula One this year, and it's already like May.
I'm forgetting. I don't even know how the sport works.
I'm like, what are the rules? I don't know.
If you don't know the rules, you can go to our last video where we go in depth about the regulations.
I've completely forgotten what we talked about in that episode.
We'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, it was a sprint weekend, which means we have 2 podiums to go over real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Our sprint podium was Lando Norris,
Woo.
Oscar Piastri, and Charles Leclerc.
Yay!
And the Grand Prix podium, dun, 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 was Kimi Antonelli,
Ayo.
Lando Norris,
Yay.
and Oscar Piastri.
Look at the McLaren boys.
McLaren brought it. They were like, I got some upgrades, and y'all fixing to realize it is not just a Mercedes versus Ferrari year.
Yeah.
And Red Bull also brought it. So now apparently we're back to normal
We got like a 4-way fight back at the front.
for now until Mercedes brings those upgrades in Montreal, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So our constructor standings. Red Bull moves up from 6th to 4th, overtaking Haas and Alpine. Alpine remains 5th in the standings while Haas drops down from 4th to 6th. So they didn't move, but they kind of overtook Haas because of the points and how everything worked out over the weekend. So they didn't move, but they kind of did. So they're still 5th, but they're above Haas now because Haas got bumped down.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Williams, who moved from 9th to 8th, overtaking Audi. So the driver standings. Lando Norris moves from 5th to 4th. Max Verstappen moves from 9th to 7th. Franco Colapinto moved from 16th to 11th.
Wow.
Pretty big jump. He had
Yeah.
a good weekend.
Good. Finally, let's go, Franco. I keep saying this, and we'll talk more about him later in the episode, but I keep wanting to see more. Like, I'm hungry to see more from him.
I think we all are because, yeah. And then our last mover was Alex Albon, moved from 18th to 17th. Okay. So, yeah. Fun for that. And overall, like, my feelings of the race were this felt probably the best race of the season in the sense of how, like, Formula One feels. I feel like Miami was a good track for these regulations, so I don't feel like we saw as many issues. Like, so...
And is that due to the track, or is that due to the adjustments they made to the regulations?
I think both. I think Miami was a track that was just going to be better suited for the regulations regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But I do... Whether it's just the track, whether it's the regulation changes, we'll see in the upcoming races, but I enjoyed it.
And a lot of people talk a lot of shit about street tracks. And Miami is a street track. For those who don't know, it's not a purpose-built track. It's not there permanently. They put it up once a year, and it goes around the stadium, the Miami Dolphins football stadium.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk a lot of shit about street tracks and that they're not good for racing and they kind of suck, but every time we've watched Miami so far, I've enjoyed it. Like, it's been probably one of my top 5 races of the year when we watch Miami. Like, exciting stuff happens. Like, isn't this where Lando won his first Grand Prix?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
is.
Fun stuff happens. Yeah. At Miami.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. I mean, and I told you before we started rolling, I wasn't as locked in as I normally am on this race. So I was kind of catching bits and pieces of it and had to really prepare for this episode.
Yeah.
For us to talk about this, but I am prepared.
I am prepared.
But the parts that I did pay attention to and was catching, it was interesting. We had several different race leaders at different points throughout the race. We had some strategy calls that affected the race and the race winner. We had some oopsie daisy moments from some of the drivers that were kind of exciting and kind of distressing for me personally. Charles Leclerc.
Don't worry. I mean, I had a distressing moment too, but it was at the front. It was at the start of the race, and I was like, well, I know Lewis isn't going to. This is the best he's going to do. Half his car's missing.
Yeah. So I would think overall for this race, I'd probably give it like 8 out of 10. If I'm going to score it, like an 8 out of 10.
I would agree with that. 8 out of 10.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Something else, it's Formula related. The F2 sprint race was fucking nuts. If you have not watched,
I haven't.
The F2 sprint race, holy shit. It was, so this was the first time Formula 2 ever raced in the rain, this was the first time Formula 2 ever raced at Miami. So they're raced, no one's been here before. And it's raining. It was beautiful. It was like, let me tell you something. If you're still not sold on Formula 1 and these regulations, just go to Formula 2. It was just like nose to tail, just swapping and a switch. Like, we're on the last lap and we're like, who the fuck's fixing to win this shit? It was so fucking good. I just had to throw that out there because I was like, bro, it was so good that you're like, what? So just saying. Okay. So Miami just lent itself to a very exciting weekend all around.
Sprint races are more digestible anyway because they're much shorter. So I'm like, maybe I need to go watch that.
That was actually really good. I was like, whoa, what?
Cool.
So yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can jump into our race review and recap.
Yeah.
Officially, we'll start with Mercedes.
Kimi.
Baby Kimi Antonelli is not a baby no more. He has now, fun fact, he has now won his 3rd Grand Prix in a row.
Yes, and Will Buxton shared this fun fact, which it's kind of long, so that's why it wasn't typed out here. Basically, Kimi Antonelli is the first driver to convert his first 3 poles, so like his first pole position, then he got 3 consecutive poles. His first pole was also his first win, and then the 2 poles after his first 3 poles that were consecutive were also his first 3 wins.
That's a very specific statistic.
It's a very specific fact, but like that's never been done before. And as Will Buxton was talking about it, he's like, only 2 drivers have turned their first pole positions or their first pole position into 3 consecutive ones. Only 2 drivers have turned their first wins into 3 consecutive ones. Nobody's ever done both except Kimi Antonelli.
Look at him. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about Kimi's race. So he lost the lead at the start.
Kind of expected that.
Yeah, these Mercedes are not great at the start. And especially Kimi. I think George has a little bit better of a start than Kimi does, or has a little bit better of a handle on it. And Kimi's very well aware that he has to work on the starts for the races.
Yeah.
But the great thing about these Mercedes cars is that the starts don't really matter for them because they have such great speed in the race itself. And apparently they make the right strategy calls that they can still win the race regardless of starting a pole or keeping the lead.
It was crazy. That was an insane start. That was nuts. I was like, oh my God.
I was so excited because Charles was like diving in there, elbows out. And I was like, let's go, Charles. Yes. I was so excited. I was excited when he was leading the race. I was excited when he was in P3.
We all were.
Yeah. And we'll talk about his race a little bit later. That's going to hurt me a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Emotional damage. But yeah, so back to Kimi. So basically, Mercedes had a great strategy. They called him into box to undercut Lando Norris when Lando was leading, and basically the strategy worked. Put him back out front.
Yeah,
and
he was good to go.
That was it.
He got as fast as we needed to, and I mean, it was just it was nuts. I mean, Kimi and there he had a moment where he kind of was panicked over the radio with Bono over I think it was a gearbox issue, and Bono was so calmed him down, kept him eye on the prize. Let's just keep going, and I was like. It made me a little bit emotional at the end because Bono goes, "Get in there, Kimi," and I was like,
so proud of his baby.
But it made me emotional because that's Bono used to always scream, "Get in there, Lewis," and I was like, oh, I'm so happy for you, but I'm also so sad for me because I won't hear it ever again. Maybe I don't know. Who's to say what the future could hold for anybody?
Yeah. So
good for Kimi.
On the other side of the Mercedes garage, we've got George Russell finishing P4. So he qualified further back than Kimi did, but he had an early pit stop that helped him undercut Charles Leclerc. And he was able to chase Leclerc down toward the end of the race when Charles made something happened. He made some sort of mistake.
He made an error.
Did he like clip the curb? Is that what it was? He did something.
He like clipped the curb and then it, spun him. And then I thought how the camera changed, I thought he slung to the wall completely. I thought he was done.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. But his car was damaged. And
and then he was just slowing down.
And he was still trying to fight people. And I'm like,
he was trying. He was holding on to the end, but George was able to make the pass and got the final, or not the final spot on the podium. Who was the final podium? Was it Oscar?
Yes.
Okay. But he was able to get up to P4. And yeah, I mean, he was able to, there was the messy finish and he was able to avoid contact because there was all the cars bunched up right on top of each other. Like Charles was in the worst possible position to make a mistake and damage the car because he had like 3 people on his ass that were ready to get him, and they got him.
They got him.
So
and then the FIA got him.
Yes.
So something I want to say about George Russell, I cannot believe I'm about to be like not a George Russell apologist, but I'm going to stick up for George. I think everyone's calling this whole like something to remember about George Russell is this: he is a dark horse.
Yes.
People should remember that. I do not think that George Russell will go down without a fight. I do not. Miami is not a track he likes. He literally said he never does well here. He just doesn't. He was very open about that. So I think his expectations for himself were fairly low. So finishing P4 when you already kind of know like this isn't my place. I think it's a good finish, and I also think that I'm super happy for Kimi. I hope this is a trend. I would love to be able to be a part of watching Kimi become a world champion. I don't think we can say that it's Kimi's year yet.
It's still too early.
I think that we need to reel it in, not make the exact same mistake that was made last year with Oscar Piastri, where everybody was so quick to be like, it's him. And then he had a stint of races he sucked ass at.
Well, Kimi had the same problem last year. Kimi started off pretty okay in the season last year, and then he had a stint of like 6 races, I think, where he was just like, he was making mistakes, or we kept having problems with the car, or like the qualifying wasn't there, or whatever the case was. He was just not doing so great, to the point where Toto Wolff was saying in the media, like,
he needs to step it up.
You need to step it up and stop making mistakes. Like, you have to get it together, Kimi. And then Kimi got it together. And but that stint of like 6 or so races, I believe, was like on the European leg of the calendar, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure, because you would think he would have. I always was wondering if some of the issues they have is like did you race F2 there or not? But I'm not sure. But he had a stint of race where he just was not doing well.
And so I think it's still too early to say that, Kimi's got it sewn up and in the bag and George is washed. Like,
calm down, guys.
Chill out, bruh.
First of all, this is a brand new set of regulations. I even heard George Russell on the radio saying, guys, like pretty much like getting onto his team, because he's like, I wasn't even in the right mode. Like, why and he's like, you need to watch out for this. Like, what's going on? So I think, we're dealing with a lot of regulation changes. And I think the second that this car clocks in for George, like, just relax. Relax.
And we do have Canada coming up as our next race in 2 weeks. And George historically does very well at Canada. Like, he likes that track. It likes him. So I think that, we'll see what happens in Canada.
George Russell won Canada last year.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in Canada. I think we can make, every race we gather more data and we can make a little bit more of an informed prediction about who we think is, going to win it out in the end. I think Canada will give us a valuable data set to work with, again, because George doesn't like Miami. He doesn't like that track. No. He said it. But he likes Canada. So Let's see what he can do at a track that's very different from Miami that George does like. But even then, you still can't hang your hat on that, because there's a whole European leg of the purpose-built tracks that we have to see.
I think everyone's always made the mistake of writing George off. And I'm like, I think we all just need to chill a minute. I'm super excited for Kimi. I'm not ready to say that he's got it locked in. So
I'm interested to see how they act as teammates as the race for the championship heats up, as they get closer and closer to the end of the season. If they're more and more competitive, if they're still within distance of each other, of like, it could be either one. I'm interested to see how they behave toward each other as teammates.
Toto will make sure that they act how they need to. He's already been through that once.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, we will not have a Lewis and Nico repeat. It is not happening.
So there are going to be no papaya rules that they can race each other?
I don't know. Really. I mean.
Because, when it came down to, Nico and Lewis.
There was a lot building into that relationship, though. I mean, to cart with your best friend, to get into Formula One, you're finally on the same team. And there was a lot.
A lot of history.
It was very, that'll be a good movie one day. But I think that, but at the same time, I know everybody thinks George is like this, like, rule follower. But I think if it came
He's
down,
cutthroat.
But if it came down to it, George Russell gonna push little Kimi off the track. Like, I think he got that dog in him.
Let us not forget when George and Max were battling it out.
I want to see that.
And
again,
George was going for it. He was like, oh, no. He has that dog in him too. People forget. He's so like prim and proper and polished, and like he's so like Tommy Hilfiger coded.
What does he say about Max again? Whenever things don't go his way, he gets violent or whatever.
But like people forget because he has this certain image off the track. They forget that he's vicious on the track.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like his family sails for fun, and they forget that he will run you off the road.
Yes. So this is not the end for George Russell. Don't count him out yet.
So yeah, that's my take.
Moving on to McLaren, we had Lando Norris finishing P2. Fun fact, this was Norris's first podium of the 2026 season. About freaking time.
Yeah, literally.
I'm ready for my world champion to show up.
No, like I was like, okay, I'm glad that like the leader in the championship is running away from last year's champion.
Yeah.
Like that's Lando, you're a champion. Like, show it. Like,
yeah.
And I understand that a lot of what was going on was clearly out of his control. Like,
and it was the car.
It was the car. And they brought the upgrades, and it showed because him and Oscar were fucking on it.
Yeah, I'm like, they didn't just suddenly forget how to drive.
No. So, no, I really liked Lando's attitude. I feel like Lando is very calm, very collected. I feel like he understands, he's been through it. He is a world champion. And I think that he now has just a different perspective. I mean, only a few people have that perspective. And so the way that he was like talking in interviews, the way that, yeah, he got second, but he was very much like, we should have and could have won this race, and we're going to figure out why we didn't and then do better. Like, I really like that attitude of just like, almost like, yeah, we're going to do our best. And now I think he understands like what that, like before Lando didn't want to criticize anything last year. Remember, he was kind of criticized for that. I feel like this year he now understands this is a championship winning team. Let's step it the fuck up. And I like that because I'm like, have expectations.
Yeah, I think the way that he was racing felt very strategic in this race. It was somebody who's like, he was driving like somebody who's been there and done that and knows kind of.
Even when he battled Max, I was like, oh, this is somebody who
it's like a more mature driver.
Well, it's like he now knows like, I've been here, done that. I know how I should handle this and when I can get the pass and when to go for it, win this, and just got it done. Lando was, to me, the definition of he was getting the job done. And I was impressed with him.
And keeping it calm and cool and collected. Yeah. Like he, at the beginning of the race, he, at the opening lap, he was running P3, and then he had Antonelli and Leclerc ahead of him, and he just let them do like the dogfight thing, let him battle it out, and then he picked him off. Like, and then he was able to take the lead of the race, and you're just like, whoa, okay, all right, I see you, Lando. And yet, like you said, he could have won that race. He should have won that race, but then the strategy call is what ultimately, he just wasn't able to overcome. The invisible
rain was just like hanging over. It was like that annoying like cousin you have who's just like, I'm not touching you, but like is right there where you're like, are you gonna do it or not?
It's like, I'm not touching you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, get your finger on my
You're like, rain or don't touch. Rain or don't.
Just touch me so I can beat your ass or don't.
Rain so I can move to the correct tires or don't do it. Like, I need to move on.
So Oscar Piastri, his teammate, finished P3. Fun fact, this was also Oscar's first podium of the 2026 season. Again, just like happy to see our papaya boys back up there toward the front, fighting for the win. I think that Oscar had some good battles on track. I think he had a really solid race, and he was able to, he was fighting with Leclerc for that final podium spot. right up until the end, and he was able to make the pass on him, and good on him for doing that. I was devastated for my boy Leclerc, but I like Oscar.
Yeah.
Good on him. I was happy for his podium.
Yeah, no, I was happy for them. I was happy for McLaren. I was glad to know that like they brought the time off was used well. They brought the correct upgrades, and yeah, I just like seeing that like I don't feel like it's a fluke. I feel like this is going to be like the new McLaren.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got from it.
Moving on to Red Bull, Max Verstappen finished P5. Fun fact, Verstappen made his tires last 51 laps after switching to an alternate strategy.
That was nuts.
Yeah, that was crazy. He had a little situation happen in the opening lap of the race where he spun out. He was battling with Lewis.
Well, it's literally off the line. They're going in. There's Lewis is right there. So he's, everyone's trying not to hit each other. And then Charles is right there. No, it wasn't Lewis. It was Charles. It was Charles the whole time because he jumped up because Max was third. It wasn't because I'm talking about how they qualified. It was Kimi.
Max qualified second.
So it was Kimi, Max, Charles, wasn't it? Didn't Charles qualify third? Yes, because I remember all the videos. So Lewis was in the back. So the whole time Max was fighting at the start, it was with Charles. And so, they're going around right off the line. You're almost getting some wheel touch, and then they're trying to go around the cars. And there's a moment where it was really just Charles is like, I'm taking the line. Max had car awareness. He avoided Charles, hit the curb on the inside to the left, completely spun around, and then just kept going. And thank God he was so lucky. Like talent, 100%. He also was so lucky that nobody hit him because it could have just been done. Like it doesn't matter how talented you are, he could have just been out.
Yeah, Max is very good at throwing the car around. Like when he does have a spinning moment, he's very good at doing what he needs to do to get it to spin a 360 all the way around so he can just go once the car stops moving.
That was like some cinema shit.
Yeah, but he does it like every time.
Yeah.
He's got very good like awareness in the car.
Yeah, he has great awareness.
But there was a point, wasn't it, on the opening lap, like after that spin though, him and Lewis were having a moment.
Him and Lewis had moments in the sprint. I don't remember. Lewis's moments were with Colapinto because Colapinto is the one that like hit his car.
Remembering the sprint?
The sprint is the one where they bumped wheels
and they both like went off or something, and then he had to give this place back.
That was the sprint.
Okay, my bad. I was misremembering.
Yeah, I was like, wrong Ferrari.
Yeah. So, I mean, Max had a pretty decent race, finishing P5. If I remember right, earlier this is only the fourth race, but earlier he wasn't doing so hot at the beginning of this season.
Red Bull did not get this stuff correct so far. So,
yeah. Finishing P5 is like solid.
Yeah, they brought a bunch of upgrades. They also have a rear wing that's super similar to the Ferrari Macarena wing, which Laurent Mekies was like, y'all ain't gonna believe me, but we was already developing this. And it does work a bit better than Ferrari. So, I mean, the idea probably.
You won't believe it, but we did not steal their idea.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so Red Bull bought the upgrades they needed, and they were doing well. And even before Isaac even got his DNF, which we'll talk about that, he was like getting up there. He had to start all the way in the back because he got disqualified from qualifying because of some like measurements being wrong on the car. And they had him on hard tires and he was just going for it. And I mean, he got like up to P12, I believe. And then just made a mistake and I think he hit the curb and then he hit the wall. And he had a fit.
Can I tell you, Isaac, love you. You're great. I got the ick so hard from watching him throw a tantrum in the car. Like, I understand being mad and frustrated and, you hit the steering wheel or you're like, what happened? Like a little yell. Like, I get it. He carried on. I mean,
he's known for that, dude. Though
he threw a full-on fit, like a tantrum.
Yeah, he did. I felt that for him. I was like, honestly, it didn't bother me, but I guess that's because, like, one, he was like known for like that. He was even in like F2, like he's very like fuck and gets pissed. I mean, he was like his hands probably hurt after how many times he
I
hit
mean,
himself.
he was slamming the steering wheel, like just shaking his fists, and like you can see him like screaming in the car.
He's regulating himself.
I guess. And then but he was like doing that for a hot minute in the car as he was getting out of the car, like hitting the car. Like even after he fully got out of the car and was walking away from it, was still like, rah! And I'm just like, I got the ick so hard. I was just like, this is like embarrassing behavior. I need you to calm down.
Says the woman who's like, I am so competitive. I literally couldn't. Like, I'm going to run. I would kill everybody. I wouldn't give up a spot for anybody. Like, I'm just way too competitive for any of that. Girl, you would be throwing a fit.
No.
If it was your mistake?
No.
If it was something you did wrong?
I mean, I wouldn't carry on like that. I have never carried on like that in my life.
Bruh, I would.
Also, I'm not going to hit my hands on the steering wheel.
Honestly, I would just cry.
I would curse and scream, but I'm not like banging my fist on the steering wheel because that hurts.
Maybe it's a testosterone, adrenaline thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I just was not a fan of that reaction. Love you, Isaac.
I'm like, you do you. Regulate yourself how you need. That's your business.
But then that contrasted with, because when he had his crash, Pierre Gasly had his at the same time. So you see this footage of Isaac just like raging. And then it cuts to like Pierre just very calmly getting out of the car, walking back. Fault. I guess. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Isaac did it to himself. He did try to like cut the corner and then just like,
he just hit the curb where he shouldn't have. And then, I mean, it was just done.
Yeah. But back to Max real quick. We did mention how he made his tires last for 51 laps. That's because after he spun out, he got some damage to the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went for a little bit, but then when Isaac had his thing and Pierre crashed at the same time because there was two cars that they were having to remove from the track, there was a safety car for a minute. And so I think Max was like the only one who went in because it was so early in the race. It was like lap 8 or 9.
It was that lap 7.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because nobody else wanted to pit yet because nobody knew what was going to happen with the rain. And they were kind of like, everyone else was kind of holding out because they didn't want to switch compounds when if they can stay on that.
Too early.
Yeah. Because they're like, are we going to need intermediates or what?
Because they didn't, and they also didn't want to have to try to make their hard tires last for 50 something laps. Which Max did.
Max was like,
and still he 51 laps on a hard tire and still came P5. I'm like, you can't tell me shit about Max Verstappen.
No,
can't tell me shit.
No, can't tell me nothing.
Yeah. Are we done with Red Bull?
For the most part, I mean, fun fact is, Red Bull went from fighting Alpine in the midfield while they were in Japan to qualifying less than 2/10 off the pole in Miami. So they went from fighting the midfield team to fighting Mercedes.
Yeah.
So good for them. A lot of good progress.
Yeah, making some steps in the right direction for sure. Let's talk about Ferrari.
God.
Or let's not. We can just skip them.
Next.
Yeah. Charles Leclerc finished P8. Fun fact, Leclerc crossed the line in P6 but was given a post-race time penalty that dropped into P8. That's
20
not
seconds.
A fun fact.
I know. And I just left it because
I know this feels personal.
It was not. I didn't.
It feels personal. I feel like you did it to me on purpose. It's not a fun fact.
It has nothing to do with the fun fact. Lewis Hamilton still doesn't have a podium for Ferrari all last year. Every week.
This feels pointed. I feel attacked.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Charles, we've mentioned, he had such a strong start to the race. He was off that line with the quickness. He was leading the race and fighting Kimi for the lead. I mean, he was like on it. At one point, he's in P3 and he was holding on to P3 with both hands and doing his best. And then eventually Oscar Piastri was able to overtake him. And then on the final lap, we're running, was he running P3 or P4 at that point? When did Oscar overtake him? I think he overtook him before the final lap. I think we were still running P4. I don't remember. Either way, on the last lap, we're hoping for a good finish, for a solid finish. And then Charles has a moment. He has like a little wobble, damages the car, and then he is just losing speed.
Well, he spun around. He did his own 360. Like it was like great. I was like,
remember I was like in and out during this race.
Yeah.
So
it was I thought he was done. Like he literally, like the way that it looked, like he like did a 360. I mean, he just like the car slid out from him. I actually don't remember how the incident happened 100%. Like, I don't know if he clipped the corner. I can't quite. Either way, he's spinning. And then I thought he hit the wall. He did hit the wall, but like he brushed it. I thought he was like slammed up in the wall, but he wasn't. He just damaged his tires, hit the wall. like the side of his tires, and then he just was limping that car.
So we reviewed the tapes real quick.
Yeah.
we had to double check. So what happened was Oscar overtook Charles, and then Charles had a little spin moment that was fully his mistake. And recovering from the spin, he then clips the wall and with his front left tire. And then that's what causes the damage to the car. He starts losing a bunch of time. And he had George behind. And at that time, he was running P4. He had George behind him in P5. Max was in P6. And so basically, he's losing all this speed. Again, this is on the last lap. And you're like, just hobble to the finish line, dude. Come on. And this was like early on in the last lap.
Yeah.
This is like turn like 3 or 4 that this happens. And so he's got to make it all the way back around the track. And George eventually overtakes him, and Max also overtakes him right toward the finish line. Yeah. But so he crosses line in P6. But the reason he gets the penalty, the 20-second penalty after the race, and drops him to P8 is because while he was trying to fight George and keep him at bay, he cut like every single corner. Like he was fully going like exceeding track limits, like blatantly not even trying to attempt to stay on track. Like he's just cutting the corners because he's trying to make up for losing the time. And it's like when you are panicking and making that choice to do that, he literally only he shot himself in the foot. Yeah, because he could have retained his P6 if he had. I don't know.
Listen, it happens. I did see somebody, they were like, he got a 20-second time penalty for that. And there was something that happened, whether it was last season. I forgot what season this was, but Lewis did something very similar. But I'm like, that's because Lewis's brakes went out. He was just trying his best not to. It depends. They take into consideration like what was wrong with the car. How did that happen? Why did you have to do that? Something, if it's for a safety concern, that's a little bit different. But like, yeah, I mean, and he was also still choosing to fully like try to fight when George, and I feel like maybe that was probably something that they were like, cutting the corners and you're fighting people.
Yeah, I heard some people arguing that they're a little confused by the discrepancy when so they brought up like the example of like Lewis doing the same thing. He got the same penalty, but the actual like penalty amount, like his time added on was 5 seconds. Yeah. He got a 5-second penalty versus Charles got a 20-second penalty. Yeah. And so I wonder like if the what's the reason for having a discrepancy? Just because the FIA has maintained before that, like, regardless of the circumstances that lead to an infraction, like if an infraction occurs, the penalty is given.
I don't think it's what leads to it; it's what happens after, right?
Well,
isn't it what they would consider what leads to it?
So it's not the result of the penalty doesn't matter. It's the result of the infraction, like what happens after doesn't matter. It's just that the thing happens.
I think that's my understanding of it. So I would assume that was why Lewis would get a 5-second because I mean, it was his brakes, and most of it was him trying to avoid like hitting. Because I'm trying to remember what race it was, but from my understanding, it had to do with his brakes, and it was more of a safety thing versus like. That was my understanding at the time. So,
but yeah, there have been some discussions about why was there such a huge discrepancy between 5-second penalty versus 20-second penalty for the same technical infraction.
And you have to probably just pull both. Yeah, because you can pull the documents and just see exactly how they're worded, word for word, and just see how it is. Yeah, I have not done that. If anybody wants to, go ahead. Let us know
in the comments. We appreciate it. Lewis Hamilton was promoted to P6 after Charles's penalty. Yeah. Lewis, like you mentioned, made contact with Colapinto.
I mean, like what, first or second lap?
Like off the line.
He flipped him the bird. Heat of the moment. They were fine afterwards. I saw that. And everyone was all like, I can't believe he did that. I'm like, shut up. Y'all are so dramatic, man. Like, you see Max flip someone off, y'all don't give a shit. Lewis flipped somebody off, and everyone's like, what?
How dare he?
Relax. Yeah, he made contact with him. And I mean, if you see the pictures, so much of the car was just gone. I'm like, oh, well, that makes more sense. So just staying in the top 10, I'm pleased. Yeah. From what, I mean, I just think that's the best he was going to be able to do.
Yeah. Bless him. Overall feeling for Ferrari, there's something there. There is potential. I don't know that they're like the second fastest team even or car on the track. I think they're solidly like third or fourth fastest. But their starts are really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's the potential there for more. They just got to keep coming with the upgrades and keep pushing it.
And Ferrari said that they thought the upgrades that they brought to Miami like worked as expected, but come on, guys. But that was some of it was just unfortunate. You know, it was unfortunate for Charles that it happened that way. Unfortunate for Lewis. I mean, there's not once it's damaged at that, like it is kind of is what it is.
I will say that Charles's race was the perfect metaphor for what it is to be a Ferrari fan.
Mm-hmm. You think you got it.
You think you got it. You're riding the high. Like, yes, we're doing so good. And then there's a wrong strategy call. There's a mistake from the driver and he crashes into a wall. And then he cuts all the corners trying to win it in a desperate bid to keep his position. And then he crosses the line and then gets a 20-second penalty after the race. So
they both, in a way, they both were, because like Charles was the representation of like, we could have this. And then Lewis was we already know.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Uh-huh. So yeah, that was it was a great weekend for both of us.
Yeah.
Moving on to Alpine, Franco Colapinto.
First of all, good for you, Franco. P7.
His best result of the season so far. That's our fun fact for him.
Yes. He did a great job. He did have some contact with Lewis. That was unfortunate. He was I feel like he was very aggressive this weekend. He was just like really I was impressed with him. He just had a pretty solid race the whole time. He did cross the line at P8, but then because of Charles's penalty, he finished P7. So, I mean, really, Franco just kind of had a strong weekend. I mean, he's been up there with Pierre. I just was like, you know what?
We saw a little bit of fight from him, which
Good.
we've been missing since he made his debut with Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 seasons ago now?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I was missing some of that fire from him. And, some of that could have been just due to the car not being great last year and whatnot. But yeah, I'm glad to see a little bit more from him.
Yeah. Interestingly, this was not a track Colapinto would have any experience at.
Yeah.
Because they don't race there in the lower F2. So when he was driving, or F3 either. And Jack Doohan was still in the car last season. Mm. This is his first time at Miami. And so it's a pretty impressive finish for somebody who does not have any experience at this track.
Yeah.
So good for you, Franco.
Yeah, and then his teammate Pierre Gasly had a DNF. As we mentioned earlier, he had an incident. He dropped to P11 on the opening lap, reacting to the chaos of the opening lap.
Good Lord.
And then he collided with Liam Lawson while attempting a move, and his car rolled.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, he's upside down.
I'm like, thank God he's alive.
Thank God for the halo.
Literally.
Whoa.
I mean, he fully rolled. And you don't see that happen often with the Formula One cars, but it just, the way that he was coming into the turn and then Liam Lawson goes right into it. And then he just tipped the car fully flips.
Something happened with Liam, which we'll talk about him in a minute, his gearbox or something. So it was something to do with the car. It wasn't that Liam was trying to drive any type of a way. I mean, my understanding, it was a technical thing, and I think he immediately went up to Pierre and was like, listen, dude, I
wasn't trying to hate
sorry,
you.
Literally my car hated me and hated you.
And took it out on you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, it fully just the nose of his car went up under Pierre's and just a side of him and just flipped him like a fucking pancake. And then he rolled and then it was the whole thing. And yeah,
all happened on the same, literally Isaac's wrecking himself. This is happening all at the same lap. And we're like, whoa. Literally the F1 team's like, I'm sorry guys. I have to go through all, they were trying so hard to show there were so many incident on the opening lap. And then it was just nuts. They had their fucking work cut out for them.
The F1 TV team was booking it and working overtime to make sure we had everything covered. Because they would be in the middle of showing us something happening on track and then have to cut to something else happening because there's so much going on and so many battles on the track at the same time.
We saw one wag.
Yeah.
No, we saw 2.
Great. Loved it.
I mean, I
don't hate the wags.
I like the wags I saw.
I
love seeing Jimmy Fallon. I loved seeing.
Yeah, I like seeing them during the pre and post race stuff. I like seeing the photos on social media and the videos and stuff. I don't need to see them during the race.
I don't mind seeing them during the race if it's a reaction to their significant other. If something, if a cool move happens, I don't mind when we see a clip of their especially if it's their parents, they're like. Or I don't mind seeing it if the girlfriends or wives are whoa, I don't mind a reaction clip to something that their significant others do, but I want it to be a little clip. I don't need it to be the whole screen.
Yeah, and it can be a little inset.
Yeah, a little oh, look at that, and then we just go back. That's fine. So yeah. There was too much on the track for us to even, for F1 to even give that much time a day to the paddock. They were like, whatever. Or to the pit, not the paddock, the pit. They were like, I'm sorry, I ain't got time for y'all today.
Yeah. Is that all we have for Alpine?
They left Miami being 5th in the Constructors' Championships. Pretty impressive for them, which now is kind of going hand in hand with how we said Alpine was going to be
at the top of the midfield.
The top of the midfield, and here they are. And I'm like, all right, I want to see Haas and Alpine battling it the fuck out.
Yeah. Moving on to Williams.
I was so happy for Williams. I was a snapping. I was a clapping. I was like, get in there. Like, here we go. Like, good for them. Finishing in the points, like, that's.
Yeah, we had Carlos Sainz at P9 and Alex Albon at P10. This was the first points finish for both drivers of the of the season so far. So great. Love to see it.
Yes.
And I mean, they got the last 3 points available, but they still got them.
No, so super happy for them. I feel like it was such a strong turnaround after the just mess of a season they started with. So I'm excited to see where things continue for them.
Mm-hmm.
I did think Carlos Sainz was funny because at one point, when Max had to pit, he was pissed. He was like, I'm done with this shit. He's dive bombing. He's Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
And then Carlos goes, hey, just because he's sitting out here fighting the midfield don't mean he can race how he wants to.
I'm a little sassy with it.
He's so funny. He's like, not around here.
He's like, what? Not around these parts.
He goes, wait a minute, sir?
Just because you're fighting us don't mean you got to be all like that.
That was so fun. I was like, I love Carlos Sainz. He's so funny.
He's like,
But no, I was really excited for Williams. I hope that this momentum continues in Montreal. So I'm hopeful, but I refuse to. I won't be duped.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath.
Hopeful.
Yes, exactly.
Moving on to Haas. We had Oliver Behrman finishing P11. He was just 1 second away from points at one stage of the race.
I mean,
and then we had Esteban Ocon finishing P13.
I don't really know. Like, Haas was pretty unmemorable to me this weekend.
Kind of anonymous.
Yeah, so
not much happened. So which is disappointing for Ollie in particular, because I feel like he has like moments where he can shine. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, all right, we're starting to see flashes of like the greatness that he has within him. And then he just kind of like, wah, wah. He kind of has these moments where you're like,
No. To be fair, Haas did not bring any upgrades. No major upgrades to Miami.
None?
Not any major
ones. Baby, we had 5 weeks.
Well,
what are we doing?
Well, so people were put in a weird position. Like, and Mercedes was put in this position too, where they were like, they had originally planned, they have these, I've played F1 Manager, so I know how these things work, okay? No, I'm kidding. So, I'm not kidding, I have played that game. But the point is this. You plan these upgrades, and they're supposed to be ready by a certain race, right? And so you have your team out at the factory working on them. So all this is already, like, pre-planned.
Yeah, where you're going to bring upgrades in stages like...
Even with you having an additional 5 weeks, you then kind of have to choose, are we going to go into overtime with this 5 weeks? Or are we just going to keep it... Are we just going to try to perfect the upgrades we planned to bring anyway?
Or are we going to move the timeline?
Yeah, so you kind of just get in that... Is Miami the race? Is Miami important enough to be that for us? And so I feel like Haas and Mercedes both kind of were just like,
okay,
maybe their upgrades are better suited for a track like, Montreal. So we'll just see. But I think a lot of the teams brought upgrades, though, from my understanding. Like, majority of them brought major upgrades, but Haas was one of the ones that just didn't. So with that in mind, I mean, it's not too bad. P11, P13, but definitely expect more.
Yeah, and even amongst the two drivers, Esteban Ocon, he is the senior driver on the team, but he's getting outperformed.
I heard a rumor
on
the internet.
What did you hear?
I heard a rumor that Esteban Ocon's place at Haas is not 100% guaranteed, and Yuki Tsunoda could be looking at a spot in F1. And I want everybody to listen to me right now. Who is one of the newest major sponsors that joined Haas that I said everybody should be paying attention to because they're Japanese? For Yuki, Toyota.
You did say this.
I said this, and
like when it was announced like 2 years ago.
I was like, watch out. Japan loves a Japanese driver. Just saying. I read that and I was like, mark my words, if Esteban Ocon has a shitty season, Yuki Tsunoda will be in that car next year.
I'm not mad at it. Nothing against Esteban. I don't like him or dislike him as a driver. I'm very neutral.
Yeah,
I
like him too. I'm just saying that's what I heard.
Yeah, but I love Yuki. He's great.
He was in Miami. There was a video of this guy who can do these insane backflips.
Yeah, I saw.
And Yuki was like, what the hell?
He's like, you're higher than me.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's just a rumor.
Yeah. Moving on to Audi. Gabriel Bortoleto finished P12. Nico
Hülkenberg. Okay, Daniel Ricciardo.
I know. Hülkenberg. Nico had a DNF. He did not finish the race.
That was super depressing.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it because I love Nico.
Yeah.
He did good. And Bortoleto did good, though. I mean, he started from the back.
And worked his way up.
Yeah, to P12. I mean, it's pretty respectable. Like, it's an Audi so far. That's like not starting technically from the ground up. But,
I mean, compared to where, when Audi was stake last year and we had Nico and Gabby finishing, at the very back of the grid.
Yeah.
This is an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a step up or a step forward, I guess. They're not dead last. So,
yeah. So, I mean,
we'll see. Still a lot of season left. We'll see what
exactly
they can make happen. But yeah, Bortoleto's P12 finish was Audi's best result of the weekend after a difficult Saturday for the team.
Yeah, it was rough. But something interesting with Jonathan Wheatley, though, because, he's no longer the team principal at Audi.
Mm-hmm.
He's the rumor mill. He's supposed to be joining Aston Martin. And Aston Martin wants it now. It was supposed to be later. Aston Martin is like, they are ready for some shit to change now. There was a lot of jibber jabber in the paddock. They want to make announcements for it. They are like, I got this from a podcast. Up to Speed, obviously. But that's Will Buxton's.
Does he not have to have a gardening leave?
I don't know. So I don't know how that's going to work. I just know, and I don't know if they're just wanting to announce but they are like ready.
At the bit.
Yeah. They're like ready to.
I'm pretty sure it's like standard within like their contracts usually that once you reach a certain level of working within the team, that you have a standard amount of like gardening leave. A lot of times for higher up, it's like a year. Some of them it can be 6 months, I think. But for those who don't know, gardening leave is basically most of the contracts are written so that if you are to leave a team, that you have to wait 6 months to a year before you can actively start working for a different Formula One team. And part of that is to protect trade secrets and the basically information within the team. They don't want you taking specs or information or knowledge about how the team works or the car to a different team, to a competitor.
Yeah.
And it's purely to protect. It's for protection for the teams themselves. And it's pretty standard that you have a gardening leave.
Yeah, I'll have to do some more research into it. I just know that like she was hanging out with Aston Martin, and that was what she was hearing.
Who?
Julie. She's one of the girls on Will Buxton's podcast. I think her name is Julie. Anyway, she was hanging out. She's one of the hosts of Up to Speed, and she was hanging out with Aston Martin, and she was like saying that no, they are Jonathan Wheatley. They're like ready, and I'm like, okay, girl, you was there.
Yeah. Moving on to Racing Bulls. We have Arvid Lindblad finishing P14 and Liam Lawson had a DNF. Miami gave Arvid Lindblad his first full race distance of the weekend after missing the sprint with a technical issue.
Oh, okay. So they're just saying that's this.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was his first full.
That was a weird fun fact, but sure.
I think we're just trying to make him.
We're desperately grasping
for him because we don't get that article anymore.
Yeah, that helped us with our fun facts.
Yes. So yeah, sucks for Liam Lawson though because he had a gearbox issue which caused Liam to lose control while he was braking, which is also why he hit Gasly, and then he had to go. They had to call the car in. So it sucks because I feel like Liam has been performing really well. I feel like he was really aggressive, especially during the sprint. He was very aggressive. Mm-hmm. So I was disappointed that that's how it went down, but it just happens. But I don't think this is a good representation for Racing Bulls. I think that they're both capable of performing way better than this. Mm-hmm. And I expect to see them higher up in Canada. Yeah. So look, chins up, move forward,
yes.
Yeah. I'm like, it's unfortunate, but it seems like a series of unfortunate events. Yeah. So
Aston Martin, we have Fernando Alonso finishing P15 and Lance Stroll finishing P17. Miami was the first race of Aston Martin's 2026 season where both cars reached the finish.
You get it.
We're so happy for you, Aston Martin.
You want a horrible fun fact?
Yeah. Always.
So, I don't know if this was the sprint race lap or if it was the qualifying lap. I think it's the race lap. The slowest F2 lap. I believe there's maybe their sprint, but let's just put it in perspective. So the slowest F2 lap was still faster than Aston Martin's fastest lap. I believe that was in the sprint, and it
slower than an F2 car.
That's to be
slower than an F2 car. What are we doing? What is this?
That wasn't in the Grand Prix, but it was a stat over the
I
weekend.
don't care. What are we doing? Why?
Listen, Adrian Newey can't just change everything overnight. He's doing his best. And I believe in Adrian Newey, and it will be fine. Just give it some time.
I'm ready to see this brilliance that he supposedly has.
You need to think about what you said.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying it with my whole chest.
Supposedly, ma'am, this is the man that's built the best Red Bull cars ever. So, listen,
well, that's a different era.
Twice. He's done it multiple times. But point is, I think there was a lot of shady shit behind the whole thing anyway, where my understanding was that Adrian Newey thought he was going into this project with the Honda team he had already worked with. Mm-hmm. That's not what happened. And so there was been a lot of contention with that, which, would put you on the fucking back foot if I'm thinking, yeah, I'm working with this team that I've worked with. And then all of a sudden I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Mm-hmm. They don't know me and I don't know them. That being said, I think Aston Martin has made a lot of effort to give themselves everything they need to be a top team. They're just not there yet, but I have hope that they will be. Not right now. Probably not this year. Season. But they will be. I have the same hope for them that I have for Williams, and I think Williams going to get there first.
So do we think like by 2030?
With the new regulations?
Do we have any hope for these regulations?
Had a little bit of some technical difficulties. As we were finishing our Aston Martin rant, I suddenly realized something has gone very wrong and everything just died. Our mics died, cameras died, but the good thing is that was pretty much all we had to say about Aston Martin.
Yes.
So we will be moving on to Cadillac.
For Cadillac, we have Sergio Perez finishing P16 and Valtteri Bottas finishing P18. And Perez finished ahead of Stroll on pace in Cadillac's home race.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, we had said at the start of the season, Cadillac's main goal for this season is to get to the end of it.
Yep.
And not have any major difficulties, any major crashes. Mm-mm. They're just trying to complete a Formula One season. They're not worried about being competitive right now.
No.
But, I mean, Sergio Perez was like, let's finish ahead of Aston Martin.
Yeah. I mean,
he was racing hard.
Good for you guys. But yeah, I mean, good on them. It was Cadillac's first home race ever as an F1 team, and they got both cars to cross the finish line, which, hallelujah.
Let me tell you something. I saw a clip from the pre-race show. We all love Terry Crews. He's a huge fan of Formula One. He's very into it. He's so enthusiastic about it. Everyone loves that he's so enthusiastic about it. And they talked to him briefly on their grid walk. And they were talking to him about being like, he's, I think, an ambassador for Cadillac, if I'm not mistaken. And so, because remember, last year at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, he drove that it was like a pink Lego Cadillac for the winners. That was like their cool down car or whatever. And he was so excited to drive that car and be a part of it and just the whole thing. And I'm just like, his enthusiasm is so infectious. So
I love it.
I love that Cadillac was like, you're our guy. They made a good choice.
They knew.
Yeah.
They knew. So good for them. And now that basically wraps up the teams.
That's it.
So best and worst segment. I feel like most people are going to probably feel this way. My driver of the day is like pretty tied with Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli. I just feel like Max God, man, like can those tires last that long? But then Kimi, recovering, finishing P1 for the third time in a row.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Like just both of them impressed me in different ways. Happy for both of them. And yeah.
Yeah, Kimi is my driver of the day for sure.
Yeah.
Like so impressive. I mean, good on him. I'm very excited for him and what he what the future holds for the rest of the season for what he can accomplish. I'm very interested to see how the battle with George will play out. But yeah, I mean, just like he did phenomenal this weekend. So good on him.
Good on Kimi. Now, my biggest letdown, I hate to say it because I don't want to hear it about my driver, but Charles Leclerc just let me down.
I mean, he botched it, bruh.
Yeah,
there ain't no other way to say it. I mean, he's my guy. I love him, but he fucked it up at the end on the last lap.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. And then cutting all the corners, and we get the 20-second penalty added on. I mean, he did it to himself. So, and he's the first one to admit that it's all his fault and he did it to himself. So I also agree Charles is my biggest letdown, which is so upsetting.
I know.
But we'll get him next time in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So guys, our next race teaser will be round 5, the Formula 1 Lenovo Grand Prix du Canada at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I am so happy that I learned to say that last year.
You said it so good.
Thanks. So our GP results from last year, we had George Russell, Max Verstappen, and Kimi Antonelli. And if I remember correctly, was that not Kimi Antonelli's first podium?
I believe it was.
Is that not our cute little picture of Kimi?
Which way did I turn?
I think that was then.
I'm
I
sure.
think. Maybe not. I could be wrong.
Sure.
So who knows? But some track stats. The first GP was held in 1978. It is 70 laps long. The circuit length is 4.361 kilometers, which is about 2.70709 miles. And the race distance is 305.27 kilometers, which is about 189.68 miles. The race lap record is held by Valtteri Bottas, which he set in 2019 at 1 minute and 13.078 seconds. The qualifying lap record is held by Sebastian Vettel, which he set in 2018 at 1 minute and 10.764 seconds. I love reading a stat that says Sebastian Vettel.
He's still holding on to some of them records.
So what is this track like? Montreal is a fast, low downforce, stop-start circuit with long straights, heavy braking zones, chicanes, and the hairpin. It puts a big focus on braking stability and traction out of slow corners. Also remember that Montreal is home to the Wall of Champions. Don't throw your car in there.
Because many a champion, as the name implies, have hit it.
Yes, so she's a difficult one. So the tire strategy, what do we normally do here? Montreal usually leans towards a one-stop, but safety cars, weather, and track position can change that fast. The layout is hard on tires, mainly through braking and traction, more than long loaded corners. And, it's rain. It tends to rain at Canada, so we'll just have to kind of see.
It tends to be a little cooler, too, because of the rainy weather and stuff. So, it's changeable conditions. We'll see what the weather's like in 2 weeks as we get closer to the race weekend.
Exactly. And from what I remember, this is the track that Lando put his car up Oscar's ass and then ended up wrecking himself out of the race, from what I believe. Was that this year or the year before? Remember, they had an issue, or they had their own incident, but Piastri was fine. Yeah. But it was Lando.
I remember, I know the moment, I can see it in my head. I don't remember what race it was.
I know it was Montreal just because I remember everybody kept comparing it to what happened to Lewis and Jenson Button. Okay. But I don't remember if it was last year or the year before.
It would have been last year.
So, fun fact, that happened then. If you need some reminder of what happened in Canada. So can we overtake in Montreal? Seems like a silly question now because we really don't know with these new regulations what can and happen. But for the most part, yes, Montreal should suit the 2026 battery deployment rules pretty well because it has heavy braking zones to harvest energy and long straights to use it. And now that they've made the adjustments to the regulations, hopefully we won't see as much super clipping or for as long. So hopefully that helps with the battery deployment. So in theory, we should be able to see some good overtakes. I think it's going to be a little difficult to actually say what's going to happen until we see because, I mean, we were speaking a little bit before we started filming. Miami seemed to lend itself to these regulations regardless. Or maybe we said this earlier. I don't remember. By the way, Miami seemed to just be a track that lent itself to these regulations even before the adjustments, just because of the layout of it. So it'll be interesting to see if the adjustments, favor Montreal or not, or if these regulations favor this track anyway. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It's hard to say what's going to happen because honestly, because of these regulations, we see people have battery in places that normally they wouldn't, or you wouldn't be able to see people speed up from electric energy. And
they overtake in places you wouldn't traditionally overtake.
Yeah, because they can literally choose to a degree. when to use certain batteries. So I mean, we'll just see. So it's hard to say, but I am excited that we get to find out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, before we have any more issues and my computer dies and we lose anything else, that wraps up this episode. But if you missed us and you missed F1, please let us know. We love to hear from you. Please.
We love to hear from our adoring fans.
Yes. Please like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it. And we will talk at you next time.
Bye.
Bye.